Recording. Hello, my name is Jamie, and today is an experiment. It's a different kind of video. Basically, I did a programming session, and I'll be intermixing what I said during the video with some voiceover, and then trying to speed up kind of the boring parts, I suppose. And effectively, what I'm doing is I'm trying to model a science fiction door using Cadquery and have kind of parametric so it's open to changes. So I've been playing around with some of the AI image generators, and the goal of this is to effectively uh, and try to emulate it in the editor. The one I'm leaning towards at the moment is probably this one for its simplicity. Yeah. So basically, we're going to do a sketch, two doors, a line. This has got some detail on it. And this kind of follows along. So it's very squared off. It's pretty straightforward. So I've selected our door. I set it up so we can see both the sketch and the code side by side. And the first bit is I'm going to modularize the code. So I make this make door method instead of the default parameters. The point of this is so we can make the inside door. Well, actually, this is just the outline. So the first bit is to start making the door itself, the internal structure of the door. And what I need to do is make this box, as you see, and then cut out the two channels going down the center of the box. And there we go. So there's the first kind of starting channel. And I need two of these, one on the front of the door, one on the back of the door. And what I'm trying to do is figuring out how to best position the channels in order to cut in the door to make the design that I'm looking for. Let's go back to returning back our outline. So if I grab the outline and say faces, and I say perpendicular, let's just say faces on the what? The Y. Yeah. So if I go for faces perpendicular to X, okay, let's try Y. Yeah. And then if I do add our slot, and it probably did. I need to look at some of the center codes. Oh, because it's already mated. Okay. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Because the position's already set. Huh. Yeah, there we go. So we added it. Um, and that combined the whole deal. So what I need to do is say combine equals false. There we go. And that rotated both of those, but I need to rotate the individuals. All right, let's take the rotation out of that. Okay, so slots will become and that created the two channels. And what I'm really looking for is so then I could take yep, and I could say chamfer, which I avoided doing that, but if I say chamfer to uh, 0.2, and that would do roughly what I want to do. And that would add some interesting. So I think the operation itself is fine. Right, there we go. And I only want to do it on certain slots. So I don't necessarily want to chamfer the top there. Um, let's just say what's Y. Okay, let's try Z. That's what I want. So yes, it is along the Z, but it's not on the perpendicular. And if I do 5, okay, fine, 2.4. Start recording. Here I'm just making a method to break the code out. So we'll have the main method for making the door, and then for the individual parts have sub methods. There we go. Alright, so height is height, size is size. We're going to say combine false in order to get the cut. So I don't need to pass this in anymore. Slots is not defined. All right, so now I can say it's 2. Yeah, and I can also say it's okay. I also do stuff in between too to make it more noticeable. Okay, so what am I doing? So we're making the general outline, the silhouette, right? Then we're making uh, the door by cutting the slots out right now. What I'm doing is I'm passing in my initial shape, I'm passing in the size of the cut, and I'm passing in the height of the door. And I could just call it door height, but that's fine. Um, the size is derived, so I can't go over the threshold of half of this thing. So I basically get 40% of the original size. I could bump that number up a bit, but that's probably good enough. So we get the initial size for the chamfer cut. We take our slots, which is basically selecting the two endpoints here. So we're going to get shaped out faces perpendicular to Y, which is going to get this face and this face. And then we're going to make a box. Because I can't innately do rotations without affecting the whole selection, I'm doing a chamfer in order to make it this interesting shape, right? Yeah. And at the end, we're saying cut to show you what it'd look like if it wasn't cut. There we go. That's effectively what I'm doing. And that's not bad either. So cut versus add, right? So that adds an interesting detail. Okay. So we're gonna file, export this. Yeah. I call this door. All right, so we have our door. We got to start on that. There's kind of the circular shape in the middle, and then there's this frame. Bounds equals shape dot val dot bounding box. And what I want is the z length. All right, I gotta look at some code. Where's my series? Because I gotta remember how to get bounding box. That. I want that. Because if I just grab it dynamically, then I don't have to be as cognizant of about it. So we're going to say bounding box and then what? Right, and I don't have to worry about as much. Line 5. Shape.val. Oh, that'll do it. cut slot takes 2 arguments, and I passed in height. Bam. Okay. So yeah, that simplifies this out. Whatever shape, it's gonna cut it in the center. Okay. Um, so now let's leave the outline alone. So frame equals. All right. So let's return back the outline. All right. So there's our outline, right? All right. So now I'm gonna have this return back multiple values so I can kind of show both of them. We'll say 30-0-0. So we should be able to see both of these side by side. Okay, and that cuts in. Okay. Right, because I want the outline to last. So the frame cut is going to be the box with the length minus frame width. Width is fine. Okay, so we're going to make a box. It's going to have a frame height, frame length. We're going to return this. All right, so that's the frame. And the height is a little bit off because it's being auto-centered. So that's good to know. And I probably want to carry it down. Um, so when I make the frame cut, and this is actually going down to -1 times frame height divided by 2. Yeah, there we go. And so what would that do? That's the cutout shape. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so we got to change some stuff. Frame equals outline dot cut. if I do, that's very interesting. Well, let's see something. Because, like, I don't, what I suspected I'd have to return back was combined in order to have it show up in the middle, but add modified the original. It's tricky. Yeah, so Union was a better operation for me. All right, because the add modified the original work plane. Shoot. That's not what I wanted. Okay. So that's gonna take a length, a width, and a height. Does the rest matter? It might, because it is doing the cut operations on it. So we're gonna have length, width, height, and then does that matter? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, okay, and it needs the outline for now. Mm, I kind of want to because I think it's gonna have to be more cognizant of it because I think I'm gonna make it out of pieces. Length, width, height, frame height. Do a translate, and we're gonna pass in the outline for now. Can I just make a scene equals CQ dot work plane? You're gonna be on the X and Y capitals. Okay. And that file, hopefully that scales it out easier. It's hard to make this stuff look exciting. Here I'm taking the multiple outputs and converting it into a loop for display. So we're going to make a scene, we're going to make a work plane. For each one, xt is going to equal 30 times index. And then we're going to say scene dot add part. And I don't need to do that. Yeah, that's fine. So then we return back n number parts. And as far as this guy goes, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so now we can have n number of parts return back and display it. How do I want to do that? I want to basically cut this piece and have them be separate parts. And then wrap them around the door effectively. Because like that gets the concept across. So instead of having frame, what do I want to do with that? Outer frame. Because I don't mind that. Like there's potential in that like simple frame or something like that. Because you could take that stupid frame and you can yeah, you could do some dumb stuff with that. So like you could uh fill it and say zero point 0.5. What would that do? Yeah, and so you could do stupid stuff like that. Here I'm changing direction because the video was running long on time and it was better to just limit the scope. And all that needs to be is a door jamb. I just need something at the bottom. Basically a base for this thing to sit on. All right. And I think what I'm going to do is refactor this whole thing um, down to a class. Yeah, so we're going to do like a part two. So this is a good first pass of where I got to. Um, so yeah, I'm going to take this script and make it into a gist. And so I'll take this guy and make it into a gist. And I'm going to end up refactoring this whole code into a class, I think. So then I can have build steps. So I can have pass in the parameters, do a make, create the frame, and then to get this final result, I'll end up replacing this frame entirely. But as far as like a generic door goes, like that's a great start, right? And that kind of gives me a build pattern. And this whole scene, as far as that goes, like we can translate it. Well, I'll show it, but just for giggles. Um, and so what it needs to do is rise up by half a height. So height divided by 2. You don't have a height? What's your default height? In this case, it'll be 20. No? You're higher than that? Hmm. Which would be 15. Okay, let's take 40. Duh. There we go. Because the default here is 40. So if I do, it's good enough for today for just a messing around session.